Welcome to WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google, and welcome into Studio E here in Bristol, Connecticut. We got a great show for you the next 30 minutes, leading you into the rematch of the finals last year. The Liberty and the Aces getting ready to tip off in about 30 minutes over on ABC. We will talk about that as well as so much more. We got a couple of great analysts here. Alexa Philippou and, of course, Ari Chambers is back. I'm Sam Ravech. So this is not the only game that will be going on today, the Liberty and the Aces, but we do have another game that is currently underway with another team that has hopes of winning a title this year, the Connecticut Sun, battling it out right now with the Dallas Wings. The score is 60-44 right now in the third quarter. The Wings, much like the Aces, by the way, are dealing with a whole host of injuries right now. And the Connecticut Sun have been undefeated on the road so far. They're 4-0, looking to advance to 5-0. So we'll keep an eye on that one. But right now, the Sun comfortably ahead. But guys, we have a lot to get to in this show. I don't want to waste any more time. It's hard to believe that we're like more than a quarter of the way through the season already. We got the All-Star Game coming up, Olympics coming up in just about a month. What's been your biggest surprise so far this year, Alexa?
To me, it's that there's no clear front runner. And I think that was so different from last year when, I don't know how you guys felt. For me, I was like, okay, it kind of feels like an inevitable just race to see the Liberty and the Aces clash in the finals. And I do not feel that way at all this year. And obviously, we'll talk about the Aces and how they've struggled. The Liberty are looking pretty good to start this season, of course. But then it's the Sun who are doing really well. It's the Lynx who I think surprised a lot of people and came out of, I don't say nowhere, but they've asserted themselves as one of the top teams in the league. And I still think the Phoenix Mercury, the Seattle Storm are only going to get better and better. Seattle, of course, coming together with some new pieces. Phoenix also has new pieces and finally got Brittany Griner back, as well as Rebecca Allen. So I can't wait to see where we are in a month and 2 months. And when we think about the playoffs, it's so much intrigue and so much that we'll be able to see unfold. It's
just funny because last year, you're right, we were talking about the two super teams, but right now there seems to be so many more super teams. You can make the case Minnesota is one of them.
Look, I love a good lead, but I love what you said about parity. The league itself has made so many offseason moves to really balance out these teams. You know who to fight for. You know who your opposition is, and you want to adjust. Cheryl Reeve did all the adjustments in the offseason, acquiring Courtney Williams, Alana Smith. They have just been showing up for that team. And so to see a Lynx team that is a dynasty, right? They're a dynasty, and we're used to seeing the Maya Moores, Rebecca Brunsons, Lindsay Whalens, Sylvia Fowles of the group. And so you look at Minnesota and say, hey, this team needs to have Olympians, but it's Cheryl Reeve. Who needs Olympians when you have an Olympic coach? But also, a potential MVP candidate year over year is Napheesa Collier, and we want to talk about chips on shoulders. Ooh. When I tell you this matchup between her and Nneka Ogwumike showed that Napheesa is not backing down for anybody, okay? She's not the one to play with. She's asserting her position, her dominance, and she's saying, hey, I'm here, and I can carry my team.
Yeah, and I'll just go with the Connecticut Sun, what we were talking about. They are a team that has been knocking on the door of that first title, that elusive first title, right? They finished each of the last 3 seasons as a top 3 seed. The emergence of Dejanay Carrington obviously has been a complete game changer and has turned this team into a legitimate title contender. She averaged 8 points per game off the bench last year. Was it now year 4 for her, right? She's making that leap into the starting rotation, averaging over 12.5 points per game. The Sun have 5 players averaging over 11 points per game. And oh, by the way, the defense is still there too, Alexa.
Yeah, for me, what stood out about the Sun is you can tell they're always hungry to win that title. But this year, they're not messing around. Like the hunger is there. They know their window is closing. Their big 3 is all going to be free agents this upcoming offseason. And so they know this is kind of their chance if they want to do it. And they're so close. They're healthy. Bree Jones back from that Achilles injury, and so now their guards, like you were talking about, Dejanay, are emerging. So this is the year they think they can do it.
Carrington will not be playing for the Olympics, but her teammate will be. Alyssa Thomas will be playing in the Olympics for the first time coming up in Paris in a matter of months. So let's switch gears here and talk about this Olympic team, which has been in the news for the past week and a half. We've heard a bunch of takes on it. Here's who's packing their bags for Paris. Lots of Tokyo was 2020. 2020. This is 2024. A lot of familiar faces on this team, and a lot of these players played together on that Tokyo Olympic team in 2020. 4 of the 12 players on the same team, of course, with the Aces. Second time that has happened in Olympic history. This is not an easy thing to be tasked with, Alexa, trying to write the next chapter in the greatest dynasty that there ever was, at least certainly in the Olympics. They have that case. So what are your initial thoughts on this roster as the way that it's structured?
For me, what stands out is the experience. You have 9 former Olympians, either from 5v5 or 3v3. You have the 3 newcomers that have not played on the Olympics. Were all part of the World Cup roster in 2022. They won gold there in Australia. So even though you have these newbies, you could say, that they all have experience playing together for the most part. They've experienced playing for Cheryl Reeve and her system, and they know what she wants. And I think that's a huge thing when it comes to playing at the highest level. Yes, the World Cup is big, but the Olympics are the biggest.
Yeah.
There's the biggest stage that there is in this sport. And so I think even with the newcomers, the people who have been there before, it's going to be a great roster. And there's a lot of depth, and I'm really excited to see how it all comes together.
Been there before seemed to be a common refrain in that room when they were picking the team.
I love it. I'm going to read to you exactly what's going on here. We have 54 combined WNBA All-Star selections, 18 combined WNBA championships, 15 combined Olympic gold medals, and the common denominator is Breanna Stewart. She is the glue that holds everybody together. However, I do have a slight concern with size. We have not talked about the size and the post position, but I love the insertion of Alyssa Thomas, because what she can do is she can assert her dominance, assert her body in places that where her height might not be. Her physicality and her ability to absorb that contact and create contact is great.
Physicality is going to be huge,
1000%.
obviously, right? Playing internationally. That's one of the reasons I think this player might have been left off the roster. So we'll talk about the elephant in the room. Caitlin Clark was left off the Olympic roster going into this go-around. Some of the media are calling it a snub. Ari, tell me why it is not.
Because it's not. It's not a snub. We keep talking the same discussion about Caitlin. She's drawing eyes to the game, but that is not what's happening here. You do not need to focus on viewership. This is a world sport, right? Yes. And so when you have somebody who has, especially the Olympic team, who's so focused on chemistry, who hasn't played with the rest of the team, we just listed off the common denominator of everybody. These players play together, but Caitlin plays for the Fever. She's a rookie. She's still trying to adjust to the physicality of the WNBA. International is even worse. You see that with EuroLeague. EuroLeague is a beast, and in general, but when you put her against everybody and have that chip on your shoulder, honestly, if I'm Cheryl Reeve, I don't even want the chaos around it. Right. But, I'm not going to keep starting these arguments, but if we want to talk about stubs, we have Arike Ogunbowale.
There's a lot more.
Yeah. Ryan Howard. Dearica Hamby had a great camp. Let's really bring it back to the reality. And honestly, if she's the GOAT, like everybody who's arguing about the snub is, you wouldn't want to cheat the process to concede to what you want to, like the fulfillment of your GOAT's position in a team.
As much as the Caitlin Clark fans don't like to hear it, she's probably not the 12 best players in this league. So just on the surface, like, she wouldn't belong on this team as of right now.
But, like, are we not talking about she's going to get there? Yeah, there is no doubt in my mind that Caitlin Clark will not be an Olympian. She is going to be an Olympian. We just all need to breathe. Is everybody okay? Is everybody okay? Like, just let's
definitely not. They're definitely not okay. But just to kind of follow up on that point, I'm just like, who do you take off this roster from the guards? These guards, as we were talking about before, they have experience either on the Olympic stage, they have experience in the World Cup, and that is just something you can't, there's no substitute for that. So I just would challenge, I know, and we will talk about maybe her later, but Diana Taurasi, it's like, do you want to take off Diana Taurasi?
No.
Or are we taking off?
Great this season. She's the healthiest she has been, and she's healthier than Tokyo.
Right.
And so just knowing that you have the veteran leadership of knowing how to win a gold medal, she's going for something that's so unprecedented that she's going to be the first one, despite gender or nationality, to go for 6 gold medals. That is 24 years.
Yes.
That is 24 years of greatness. You need somebody on there to know how to navigate the Olympic scope like that.
And we'll get to DT in just a bit. But like the saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I think might play into a factor here with what this team has done in their past, right? I mean, they've won 55 consecutive games in the Olympics. I mean, that is insane. They're obviously going for their 8th straight title in the Olympics. The U.S. has medaled in 11 of the 12. And obviously you got 3 former WMVPs on this team right now. Let's talk about some of the newcomers, though, to this team, Ari. You think about Kalia, AT, and obviously Sabrina. What do you think they bring to this team, not only on the floor, but also off the floor?
Okay, there's an obvious absence this year. It's Sue Bird.
Yes.
Sabrina fills that role. You see it in the way she plays with the Liberty. She's been really facilitating more, playing a little bit more on ball. Like last season, you saw Courtney taking the ball up the court. Now Sabrina's really facilitating and making sure that she can fulfill that point guard position. We saw some of that success on the Belgium trip and the college tour. So being able to watch Sabrina really grow into her own, because we know that the point guard position isn't the strongest for USA basketball, but she's been really working to do that, especially because we know Chelsea Gray, she has been battling with injuries, so knowing that Sabrina can fulfill that spot. But Kahleah Copper,
Yes.
the way she has been playing basketball this WNBA season, the way she has shown up to USA basketball camp, the way she said, hey, she's from North Philly. She'll let you know with that chip on her shoulder, the sizable wing that has a shot. She can elevate above people, super athletic, and she's the dynamic scoring guard. Like, having that is a luxury for the brand of USA basketball.
Yeah.
And then I know our fave, Alyssa Thomas.
The best.
She does everything. She knows how to stack a score sheet. Ooh, can I talk? Compared to last Olympic team, they lost size because there's no Tina and Sil, but you gain someone who can defend and play all 5 positions, and I think that that's a luxury that we don't talk about with the USA.
And you mentioned it too, Alexa. She can carry the ball and facilitate with some of the best point guards that are in the league.
Absolutely. And when I was at the World Cup, it really struck me that this was a player that Cheryl Reeve wanted to be part of USA basketball. She called Alyssa Thomas, was like, I want you to be at these camps and let's give it a shot and see if this works. And so she was a huge part of why they're able to win gold in Australia as well.
I think this is the most versatile team that USA basketball has had. We talk about depth. Everybody's arguing, like, is this the deepest team? It's by far, to me, the most versatile team, because you have players that can play 1 through 5.
Yep.
We mentioned her. Diana Taurasi obviously is going for her 6th. 6, that's right.
Wow,
gold medal, which would break a tie with the aforementioned Sue Bird for most Olympic golds in men's or women's basketball history. Her 38 games as a U.S. basketball Olympian, second to none. I know retirement has kind of been talked about, but I'm not counting her out for the 2028 Olympics.
Well, they are in Los Angeles, and
Yes.
she's a, Cali girl. She's been from around there. Don't give her ideas, though. We'll see.
Yeah, I think this is the idea that she already has. I think,
You think?
knowing Diana Taurasi, she would just do it again just to do it.
Yeah, but she's still, you look at her numbers, though, quickly, Alexa's she's putting up 16 points per game. She's shooting the ball really well from 3. It just seems like another season for her.
Well, Ari mentioned it. I mean, she's actually healthy this year, more healthy than she probably was in Tokyo. And even, she has dealt with injuries, kind of things nagging here or there throughout the last few years. But this year, she really seems to be coming to her own. That's a weird thing to say for someone who's a WNBA
It's a good point.
legend.
24 years in this Olympic game.
Right, but she's playing great basketball. She's helping her team win in the Mercury. I think she's going to bring. And the other thing I wanted to mention about experience. So I know I talked about all the experience that this roster has, but they don't have a ton of players who have been to multiple Olympics. So they have obviously Diana, they have Brianna Stewart and Brittany Griner. So I do think you just want players who have been in that position, who have been in these settings time and time again, and the rest of the world is catching up. I don't think people maybe understand that. The U.S. almost lost to Belgium in the qualifying tournament.
It wasn't for that buzzer beater.
Exactly. Brianna Stewart buzzer beater, even at the World Cup, China gave them a really good game. So you need that experience, and you need players who know how to go get gold in those settings.
And the U.S. will see Belgium in the group stage
Group
really
C
early
is
on.
really difficult.
Yeah, so that is never a given. Trying to get out of your group will be really tough for this team. So the interweb has been filled with searches of the Olympic team, but I'll tell you what else people are searching for as we take a look at what fans are searching for, presented by Google. Searches for WNBA All-Star voting spiked 800% in the U.S. over the past week. Here's how it shakes out. 50% come from the fan votes, 25% come from the current players and the media. Top 10 votes will automatically be named to the All-Star Game. Those players not already on the U.S. 5-on-5 Olympic roster will then be assigned to Team WNBA, and the two teams will play each other. So real quick, thoughts on the structure. Obviously, we'll get to how it'll look differently this year in Phoenix, but just thoughts on the overall structure, Alexa.
I like, obviously, the structure with the fan vote in this particular situation this year. I'm really excited to see how that turns out, because this is a year where there's been so much excitement around the WNBA. So I want to see how that fan vote really is influencing the rest of kind of how the top 10 shakes out. If that actually helps some rookies maybe get in that position, we'll have to see. But I want to see all of the enthusiasm around the game lead to maybe some, enthusiasm in the voting.
Agree?
Listen, We all have arguments about who was snubbed. Now it's time to see who can match up face-to-face when it comes to All-Stars. So I cannot wait to see the fans put their faves in the All-Star Game to play up against Team USA, those who did not make the USA team, and see how it really nets out. And it could be a great competitive thing because you have a couple players who will make the All-Star team that they feel they got snubbed. So, honey, bring your A game, okay?
So with that being said, I mean, who do you think we're going to anticipate seeing in this All-Star Game? Because we're going to have maybe a Caitlin Clark. Obviously, the fan vote will help her out a lot. 50% will help her get into it. But who else could we think we could see in this game?
I'm calling you up, Ari Chambers. I'm calling you up, De'Erica Hamby, who's been playing her life this season. I'm calling you up, Diana Taurasi. Caitlin, come on. Angel, come on. I cannot wait to see this fired up chip in the shoulder type of face-off. And Skylar Diggins-Smith return to the All-Stars, honey. Play your old team, USA Basketball. It's time.
It's time?
It's time.
Okay. All right. It also is almost time for the Aces and the Liberty. That'll be tipping up at the top of the hour over on ABC. Check out how some of their star players are getting ready for the rematch.
I'm a shoe girl, so I pick my shoes out before I pick my outfit out. A shoe first, and then we kind of dress up from there.
We know that I love a crop top, so that's always going to be in there.
Like, it's some stuff I'm like, hey, I did that. I wouldn't mind dipping into, like, KP's closet.
At the end of the day, like, I'm still here to play basketball, so I'm coming in with the mentality, kind of like we're going to war. That's usually what I'm bringing. Sexy war.
That's right, it's Saturday Slay as Alexa and I are over here looking like foliage realness, giving you earth tones, but the players are always stepping out, so we have to check out the best dressed WNBA players in Alexa and I's opinions. So let's get it started. First up, we have Kaiser Gondrezick. I mean, Alexa, this girl, I mean, what?
I just love the business casual look that she's really embodying, and it's simple, but it's a statement, you know? It doesn't have to go over the top, but she just really kills it.
Can we get into the red lip? I love a red lip moment. I love a nice little crop top tease. She's giving Olivia Pope realness, but like, make it executive, keep it executive in the sports space. What emoji? What emoji?
I mean,
thinking, oh my God, all of them.
I know.
Can we get both?
Yes.
I know we don't have rules. She's fire and like, doing it all for me. So shout out to her. My favorite was the red lip, little bralette blazer moment. Next up, you already know who it is, Dejanay Carrington. Dejanay has no stylist. She said, I do this. I wake up and say, what do I want to wear today? How am I feeling? And you can tell that in the style reflected here. She is just a vibes girly, and the only way I can describe her is Miss Barbie.
Oh yes, I feel like she's killing it on the court. So many people now are seeing what she can do in this new role for the Sun, and she's obviously bringing those vibes off the court too when she has these great fits for the games.
She perfectly depicts, get you a girl who can do both, because you would never know how aggressive she gets on the court. Oh my gosh, but Cameron Brink, the rookie, I want whatever stylist you have, I want whatever closet. We talked about Barbie.
Oh,
Is
yes.
this not the walking Barbie?
Yes, and it's so fun watching her go from Stanford at the college game. We didn't get to see, you know, these pregame fits, these pregame, you know, tunnel walks, and now she gets to just show off her style. And we knew even then that she had it. So
If we want to know what a conventional model is, honey, if basketball doesn't work, which it is, walk down the runway immediately, snatched every single time. But then we have Courtney Williams. She also doesn't have a stylist, and just giving you a little mask realness. I love the accessory play that she's done this season. She's not afraid to take a fashion risk. And you know, normally I'm critical about players and mixing prints and just going a little, you know, flamboyant. But Courtney does it in the right way. She really gives you everything that you want. Like, come on, this floral with the pink.
yes,
You get into it. Okay.
love a pink moment.
What do you got?
I say fire, and I love the hat too. By the way, that's a fun little touch. So.
Somebody else's closet I want to raid. Arike Gumbawale, an all-star all the time, on and off the court, and especially when it comes to stepping in these court fits. She's not afraid to throw on a jersey, on some plaid, and you know, you want to talk about hats?
Oh yes.
Arike, everybody talks about her sneaker collection, but the hat collection, impeccable. I can't even do it. Okay.
Yeah, we've
What do we
got great
have
variety there. Oh. Yeah, I haven't used this one yet, so.
Oh, I don't even think I have that one.
Oh, there you go.
I do. I just used it. But we have to put a bow on it because speaking of fits, the USA basketball, they surprised some new Olympians with their fits. Actually, this surprised the whole roster. But how about let's get into this first-time Olympian receiving her fit for Paris. Alyssa Thomas, step on up. Let's go!
I'm the Women's Basketball 5-on-5 National Team Committee. I would like to officially invite you to be a part of the 2024 Women's Basketball Olympic Team. Yeah!
I mean, I heard I had a meeting up here. That's what Tuck told me. So then when I came up and I saw the jersey, I mean, I was surprised. Mom.
What?
Look.
I'll go over here. Oh, wait. What?
I made the team. Yeah, you can't tell anybody. Wait, you can't tell anybody yet. It's been a long time coming. It's something you grow up watching. To be a part of it is I'm just super excited.
How awesome is that, right? That's what every player, I got to imagine, gets to dream about, and AT got to live it out there. All right, so before we get to the Olympic Games, we do have the 4th annual Commissioner's Cup Championship coming up on June 25th. The Liberty won 5 games in 8 days to secure home court advantage. They'll face off against the red-hot Minnesota Lynx. Here's how it worked out this year. Chopped down from 10 games to 5 regular season games. Number 1 in the West meets number 1 in the East. Winning team takes home $500,000. So certainly some incentive there to win the Commissioner's Cup trophy. The Liberty won it last year, taking down Las Vegas. They are back in it again this year. Ari, your thoughts on them reaching for the 2nd straight year?
Before I even get on my thoughts on Liberty, the $500,000, there's also a charitable component to this, which we always say the WNBA is so important, but just for them to be able to give back through excellence in basketball, I think it's beautiful. But the Liberty are benefiting from this because they're playing their best basketball at the right time when it comes to Commissioner's Cup. 5 games in a week, and clinched it so early because they excelled in all of it. And so just knowing that this format helped them, the timing of it, because they're playing their best basketball now, is a great sign for them morally, because we didn't know which direction it would go in the beginning of the season.
Right.
I had no idea how their offense would gel. A lot of the chemistry was just off, but they clicked right when it needed to click.
Liberty will look to become the first repeat champions in the short history of this Commissioner's Cup. They beat Vegas by almost 20 points last year, but maybe one of the biggest surprises this year has been the Minnesota Lynx, Alexa. They were a team that was picked to finish 9th in the ESPN preseason poll, but yet here they are atop the Western Conference standings. How did it happen?
I know Cheryl Reeve did not love that preseason prediction from one of my colleagues, but I think what we were all talking about, we didn't know what they would look like. They obviously had their core, Nafisa Collier and Kayla McBride was still there, but they were bringing in new pieces, Alana Smith and Courtney Williams and Datisha Heidemann. But one of the things that stuck out most to me is that Cheryl Reeve said that they had a hell of a training camp, and that, quote, the art of accelerating chemistry, this group has put on a kind of clinic and what that takes. And we're seeing that on both ends of the floor. Offensively, they are top 3 in offensive rating, and defensively, and on the defensive end, they're top 2 in defensive rating. So they're just a team that is doing it on both ends, and I can't wait to see the showdown, to see how they do against a team that we have always kind of just been like, oh, they can make the finals, or they're kind of in that super team conversation.
Earlier, we mentioned Courtney Williams and Alana Smith and Nafisa Collier, but Kayla McBride looks like the vintage version of herself. We forgot how much of a sharpshooter she is. When I tell you, we see it when she plays overseas in the EuroLeague in Turkey, and I was waiting for that Kayla McBride to show up in the WNBA, and it's there. She did it at Notre Dame. She's really, I love when players show people their true insides, and just being so clutch. I'm glad she's returned to that.
Well, it's funny, too, because the Liberty have won 7 straight, right? They're playing the best basketball, I think, in the league right now. But the last time that they lost was to this Minnesota Lynx team that came back on May 25th. So we'll see how it pans out in the Commissioner's Cup championship game. My question is, how much can we glean from these midseason tournaments? Because the Liberty were in it last year. They made it to the finals. And that was actually our finals matchup last year. But I know it serves as a litmus test, but how much so?
Last year was a more comprehensive look at the season because the Commissioner's Cup games were extended through a longer time. This year it's compressed. And so I would say, honestly, it doesn't have much of a temperature check because we're only a quarter way through the season. And it's what, 5-6 games. And so in order to gauge how a team's going to do it, I'm concerned, did the Liberty peak too early? Can they maintain this excellence? You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm looking at the Commissioner's Cup play.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add to that is that the Aces, I think, are the only team who's won the Commissioner's Cup and then gone on to win the championship, and that was in 2022. So, you know, it can show you a little bit, but, you know, it's not
a glimpse on the potential.
It's a glimpse.
Because it's a glimpse that you can be on the top of the standings.
Right.
But also, you have to maintain that excellence throughout the whole season.
Right. It's a long, long season. We're not even halfway through yet. So, like you said, Alexa, the reigning champs will not be playing in the Commissioner's Cup championship. The Aces have lost 5 games already this season. That is something that they did not do until the end of August last year. So my question to you, Alexa, is how concerned should the fans of Las Vegas be to see their team already now with 5 losses on the year?
I don't think I'd hit the panic button just yet, and that's because Chelsea Gray has still not played for them this season. So until Chelsea Gray comes back, we don't know what this team will truly look like. And, you know, assuming she's coming back soon, assuming she'll be able to be healthy for the rest of the season, that's a completely different team than the one that we're seeing, you know, so far. The one thing, of course, that they do need to really address, you know, regardless of Chelsea Gray's status, is their defense.
Oof.
That's one of the things that, whenever you listen to a Becky Hammond press conference, how many times did she talk about their defense?
Right, every single time.
And so that's the thing dating back to when she first got into the league. This isn't anything new. And so for this Aces team to be one of the worst teams defensively in the league, if you look at the defensive rating, that is surprising. I don't think that's only a Chelsea Gray problem. And so that's the area I want to see them improve the most longer term.
Your level of concern for the Aces is where?
It's pretty low, right?
Okay.
So you have the reigning MVP, they're the reigning champions, and A'ja Wilson is the best player in the world. She can gather them and really enforce that, hey, this is the expectation for Aces basketball alongside Becky. So you have leadership from every position. This team knows what to do to win, and they've just added pieces to help that. They have a Kate Martineau, who's an excited rookie. They have a Tiffany Hayes, who has been in the league. She's super veteran. And when Chelsea Gray comes back, listen, 3-time champ, finals MVP, WNBA All-Star, Olympic roster, the point guard herself.
Yeah.
You're missing that. And Jackie Young has been doing a great job stepping into that role. But once everybody settles back into their positions, their roles on this specific team, they'll be fine. They have plenty of room to adjust.
Well, who needs to step up in Chelsea's role, at least until she gets back fully healthy? I know, you know, everybody on this team can score, but it does seem like the defense is really a problem. You can score a ton of points, but if you let up more points than you score, you're going to lose.
That's true.
Yeah, well, Ari mentioned it, but Jackie Young has been so critical, and there's a reason why they won that game. I mean, I know they gave up 99 points, but they're able to surpass 100 the other night because Jackie Young had 34, which was a career high in scoring against the Mercury, which included 7 threes. So I know she was battling illness. She wasn't even 100%, I don't think, that day. But for her to be able to not just score, but also she's taking a lot of those facilitating roles in the stead of Chelsea Gray. That's been huge. And we know she's also the big lockdown defender on the perimeter for the Aces. But of course, once Chelsea's able to come back, then Jackie can just finish or focus on doing, you know, the usual tasks that she has to do on the court.
By the way, the 6 of the 12 Olympians will be on the floor in this game. Half of the Olympic team will be playing in this game coming up in a matter of 2 minutes over on ABC. Before we get to that, though, let's make some predictions. And I also want to ask the question, who needs this win more? It's not a question I like to ask generally, but I can make an argument for both sides here, right? The Aces obviously need to improve their record, and the Liberty, I feel like, still trying to prove that they have figured out how to beat the Aces and how to take down the machine. So who needs to win more, Ari?
To me, the ego supersedes everything. The Liberty needs this win more to know that they can beat the Aces in a very intense, feisty moment. The Liberty.
Okay.
Yeah, I definitely see that. I'll take the side for the Aces just because, you know, people, they hear all the talk, right? And we were talking about this even before. Like, they thrive off that underdog mentality, but they also want to show, I think, that, you know, anyone who thinks that they should be counted out is thinking incorrectly.
If you were to pick the finals right now, today, are we still taking the Liberty and the Aces? Because that was a lot of our preseason picks.
You know, the parity is very apparent here. I want the Sun in the finals.
I'm with you.
I want the Sun in the finals, but I don't want to count out the Aces because you know what, the Aces in the final, a Sun-Aces matchup would be great because the Aces, I have full faith that they can turn around their record.
Yeah.
I'll go Sun Lynx.
Wow. Okay. But to your point, Alexa, like the super team era might be dead because everybody has at least something resembling a super team. We unfortunately are out of time. Thanks so much for watching WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google. The rematch of the 2023 WNBA Finals is getting ready to tip off over on ABC right now. For our entire crew, Alexa, Ari, I'm Sam. We'll see you next time, folks. Have a great rest of the weekend. Oh, happy early Father's Day, too.
Shout out to dads.